Getting the Euro to Work. Mit dieser Konferenz schaffte das Goethe-Institut Chicago den Brückenschlag zwischen Wirtschaft und Kultur. Wirtschaftsexperten, Wissenschaftler und Pädagogen aus Europa und den USA trafen sich das zweite Jahr in Folge an der Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. Vom 25. bis 27. Juli 2012 wurden die neuesten politischen, sozialen und ökonomischen Entwicklungen in der Eurozone diskutiert.
To understand European issues has become more and more complicated, as we can learn daily from the media.
The negative press of the euro crisis tends sometimes to get on my nerves. Because I consider it as a misleading description. However, and when I refer to it, there is something very positive about it. Because Europe is now getting full attention in the US.
That's one of the advantages of working here at the Chicago Fed or at any of the Federal Reserve Banks or the Board of Governors, is that we don't have any kind of a program to try to spin the numbers or spin what's happening. And the fact that how we look at numbers and how we present them can easily mislead you.
Because somehow the crisis origin is seen as the sovereign debt crisis. This was always in the media. It's seen as the crisis of sovereign debt, whereas the real analysis, as far as I'm concerned, is the sovereign debt issue is the result of the deeper underlying structural issues.
The German public has been misinformed about this for the last 3 years. That's why our new president recently said we need to inform the German people more about these problems.
And really having issues, what is it that can be done to tell the Greek, you need to clean up your act? And we're not here to create problems for all your people, we're here for your government.
We're right on line with financial crises in the US and the world for getting through it, but it's not pretty, it's not nice.
Europe is trying to remodel its house, but of course, some of the rooms are on fire as it's trying to do this, and this is a bit problematic.
So the misanalysis, the wrong analysis of politics and the result of this as the European austerity policies has been a disaster, an utter disaster. And if you don't move away from this, I don't think we will be able to resolve problems.
The debt crisis, which was a debt crisis, is a debt crisis, was a private debt crisis to start with. And the real macroeconomic risk was in the private sector rather than the public sector. And it was not understood properly in any of the macroeconomic supervision mechanisms that there was an implicit guarantee, for instance, by the Irish government for its own banks, that if it all goes pear-shaped, as the Brits would say, they would have to take over and nationalize a lot of toxic assets.
That's really the crux of the matter. How do you get your finances in order, but without strangling growth? And this is also an issue for the United States. I think going forward, we're going to be hearing a lot more about this as we try to tackle our own fiscal issues coming up.
There's a political crisis. The different countries decided to pool their monies together and create that euro money in order to be able to have more exchanges between countries. And unfortunately, it seems that so far it hasn't been proven entirely a success. There are too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Too many people want to decide, and you get like the big guns, and then you get the smaller countries. And then you might imagine that would lead to total chaos.
It's a Europe of the elites. You know, let's talk the people at the top level discuss all these issues, and certainly the economists, all the gurus. But the population is kind of lost.
Instead of what the founding fathers and mothers of EMU had envisioned, which was the economies becoming more like each other and converging, you had a divergence, in particular in this factor of competitiveness. And it was something that went under the radar screens of even some economists, but also of the political class as a problem.
There is still this country-specific view, and Germans care about Germany, and they focus on their exports, and people don't think about it as truly the United States of Europe.
So I mean, it's a difference in mentality, and bring these mentalities closer together in a discussion. You know, how do we do these things together? That's very difficult. So you have a private discussion with Spaniards, totally different attitude than we have the same discussion in Germany.
Is the vision for Europe strong enough to act like a Europe instead of to only look at my own individual country's benefits?
Where is the window that you're optimistic about any of these things?
Yeah, it's a long window because these things take time. And even if you do the structural reforms, I mean, on the positive side, the pressure is there. Market pressure to bear will be significant.
What needs to be done in the democratic system in order to address this issue? I have to say I'm a pro-European, but I become skeptical when it is achievable. I think at the very least what we should do is try to set a course that would get us there.
It's not going to get political traction because politicians will always feel to protect the national identities. Like, this is who we are, this is what we've been for like hundreds of years.
Jean-Claude Juncker, he's the president of the Eurogroup, he famously said, we, governments in Europe, know what we need to do on structural reforms to grow our economies, to unleash, to complete the single market, etc. We just don't know how to do it and get reelected. Okay? Pension reforms, labor market reforms, all the really tough stuff as a politician.
Neben Vorträgen und Paneldiskussionen gab es Workshops, die speziell auf die methodisch-didaktischen Bedürfnisse von Ökonomie-, Deutsch- und Französischlehrern abgestimmt waren. Die Kommentare der Teilnehmer bewiesen, dass das Zusammenarbeiten dieser Disziplinen möglich und fruchtbar ist und Wege für eine neue Art des Lehrens und Lernens öffnet.
Okay. I'm an educator and I'm concerned about my students getting jobs, and I want all my students to get jobs. And I want all of humanity to have jobs. So.
Als besonderes Element entsteht begleitend ein bilinguales E-Book mit dem Titel Germany in Europe, Culture and Business. Lehrer erhalten damit eine wertvolle Unterstützung, um die Themen Europa, Deutschland und die Rettung des Euro in amerikanischen Klassenzimmern präsentieren zu können. Und dies mit dem neuesten Hintergrundwissen. They have to stick to the rules, that's one thing. But if they stick to the rules, they learn something. Right. That's important.
All right, financial crisis.
As with a sausage, sometimes the ingredients you don't like.